Welcome back, Nerd Squad, to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers. Before we kick this thing off, don't forget to check out the rest of our amazing content on this channel, and if you're feeling good about it, then tap that subscribe button. Plus, leave us a comment down below with which alternate version of a superhero is your favorite. And make sure you stay all the way until our #1 spot, because you won't believe which one we think is the worst. Now let's jump into today's video, the top 10 superhero alternates worse than the original. In at number 10, Wonder Man. In the New 52 multiverse from Earth 11, we got to see what would happen if superheroes gender swapped, which drastically changed the usual all-male cast to leading females, which also leaves us with Wonder Man? For the most part, even with all the gender swapping roles, the heroes maintain their usual look, except for Wonder Man, or as he's also referred to as Dane of Elysium. For whatever reason, he looks like if a cheerleader dressed up as a Spartan soldier. He looks like if the wardrobe crew from the movie 300 dressed him using old Halloween costumes. Apparently though, his testosterone was still peaking because after killing Maxine Lord and being banished from Woman's World, he and the male Amazons of Elysium invaded the United States. It didn't take long either for Superwoman to punch him into next week. Dane of Elysium has to be the worst version of Wonder Woman we've ever seen. In at number 9, Clark. As exciting as Wonder Man was to learn about, Clark the journalist is beyond boring, which also feels like it was done on purpose. Clark is described as a mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper and is often seen with his colleague and lady friend Lois. Sound familiar yet? Yeah, Marvel really wanted to throw some shade on DC's biggest hero with this one. This alternate version of Superman has all the same qualities minus all of the powers that make him cool. He's literally just Clark Kent, no Superman. He's been used a number of times in the comic books. Probably one of the most embarrassing appearances was in Ghost Rider Volume 3, number 26, where in an attempt to save Lois Lane, he fails miserably. In at number 8, Old Pete. In the 4-issue limited series of Spider-Man Reign, we got to see what an elderly Peter Parker would look like. Not only an elderly version, but an alternative that has been retired from crime fighting after the deaths of pretty much everyone that he loved. This version of Spider-Man is not just worse than the original, but also incredibly weird. This storyline actually saw Spider-Man killing Mary Jane through prolonged exposure to his radioactive, wait for it, dairy. Legendary sperm. Yeah, that actually happened. Now 30 years later, he's an old man working as a florist, which is a job that he's not even really great at. Sure, eventually he comes to terms with his loss and embraces being Spider-Man again, but it's nowhere near the same as the Peter Parker that we know and love. In at number 7, Native American Cap. There have been a couple of different scenarios in which Captain America had taken on the role of a Native American for the comic books, but to make things less confusing, we're gonna merge them into one point because they're essentially the same type of alternate hero. In Marvel 1602, the Marvel characters are thrown into the Elizabethan era, and as the majority of the story begins in England a full 5 years before the British colonized America, the writers had to find a way to cheat Captain America into the storylines. When Cap is sent back in time by the Purple Man, he goes by the name of Rojaz and pretends to be a Native American who's performing essentially bodyguard duty for Virginia Dare. Then again, in the What If Captain America Fought in Civil War, Cap is taken to a mystical ceremony by Falcon where he's transformed into Captain Native America. The reason why this version of Cap is worse than the original is because the writers had to cheat him into the storyline. It would have almost been better if they just left him out altogether. In at number 6, Batman with a Bat. There's tons of strange versions of Batman out there, one of which is our number 2 spot, so stick around to hear that insane one. This clunky version of Batman is probably one of the most obscure characters that appear in the Elseworlds story, known as Batman Scar of the Bat. The story begins in 1920, and instead of Bruce Wayne donning the Batman outfit, we saw Elliot Ness, the leader of the law enforcement team, the Untouchables. He dresses up literally as the Batman to fight Al Capone. And this version of Batman is so awful because Elliot is so different from Bruce Wayne. He has almost no combat skills and uses a Tommy gun and a baseball bat to fight crime. In real life, Elliot Ness is the one who actually got Al Capone locked up, so the comic book is interesting in that sense, but using the Batman's likeness with zero references to Bruce Wayne himself feels strange and unnecessary. In at number 5, Longbow Green Arrow. This awful alternate version of Green Arrow from the League of Justice is part of a lesser known two-part entry in the Elseworlds series. It drops the Justice League into an era that's reminiscent of a Lord of the Rings inspired world. Green Arrow takes on the alternate form known as Longbow Green Arrow, who looks like if Gandalf dressed himself from whatever he found at a thrift store. Combine the odd changes to the heroes and the ye old English dialogue, and you're in for a weird ride. We don't even recommend wasting time reading this one. Longbow is such an obscure version of Green Arrow that his bio on the DC fandom site doesn't even have a history written for him, so if they don't want to read it, then who will? In at number 4, Sosumi Brown. Back in the year 2000, Marvel launched the Marvel Mangaverse, and boy oh boy was it strange to see. There was a ton of changes to heroes. I mean, you had the Hulk looking like Godzilla for some reason, and the Punisher being transformed into a Japanese woman named Sosumi Brown. Sosumi is a principal of a boarding school in Tokyo, but at night she becomes this vigilante hero donning an outfit inspired by the Punisher's look, mixed with some Japanese culture. While Sosumi possesses a superhuman ability with fighting, she uses these wooden paddles to deflect bullets. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Wooden paddles somehow deflect bullets. She's also oddly referred to as Tokyo's kinkiest superhero, who actually tortures her enemies by spanking them. Okay. It's the strange world they formed around the character of the Punisher that makes you actually kind of appreciate the original. In at number 3, Snack Man. This alternate version of Spider-Man we felt should be renamed to Snack Man. To explain this, we need to look no further than a quote by him where he said, "My tummy's rumbling for some of those delicious Honest Brand fruit pies." Instead of using his web shooters to take down his enemies, he instead attacks them with Hostess brand cakes, or Twinkies as we call them, but I'm sure they had to step around that for copyright reasons. Either way, he fights crime with Twinkies, and when there's no crime, he just eats pie. We're guessing all of those Twinkies started to do some work on his hyper awareness because this awful version of Spidey was killed by Moreland while he was on his way to a date with Mary Jane. I guess there's no Twinkie sense? In at number 2, PILGRIM-MAN. Many years ago after Bruce Wayne had died, comic book fans saw the return of Bruce Wayne, although him as Batman throughout history. They followed this character literally from the Stone Age until the end of the universe. There were so many different incarnations of Batman that we got to see, but the strangest one was Pilgrim Batman. By a mile. He was so different from the Batman that we're accustomed to with his goofy bat-buckled hat. It's mostly just odd watching Batman sneak around in the technologically bare time period. The fun thing with Batman is seeing all the crazy gadgets that he has, but watching him sneak around in a bonneted woman's house and eating a turkey leg just kind of degrades the original so much. Lastly, in our number 1 spot, Horseman. Another odd version of Superman is the one where he becomes a centaur in the book Whom Gods Destroy. The book is absolute insanity. It's been said that reading even a few pages will make you lose your grip on reality. The book has Greek gods playing games on a world stage, which ultimately results in the Nazis somehow not losing World War II, which then leads to Nazi versions of heroes like Nazi Wonder Woman, and Superman by far gets the worst end of this stick. He's transformed into a blonde female version of himself before finally transferring into a centaur. Yeah, cause that makes sense. And that has been the top 10 superhero alternates worse than the original. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, show us some love by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is click that playlist on the screen. From Top 10 Nerd, I'm Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care.